Thanks again for tuning into Revelations. Our next story comes from a ministry that's based out of Wheaton, Illinois, called Russian Leadership Ministries, which supports the Moscow Theological Seminary, and with us today is the president, Pastor Peter Mickiewicz. Thanks so much for joining us, Pastor Peter.
I'm so glad to be here. Мир вам. Господь да благословит вас. Приветствую вас любовью Господа нашего Иисуса Христа.
And for the benefit of our viewers, can you translate that for me?
Peace to you. I greet you in the name of Jesus Christ. May the Lord bless you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Tell me a little bit about Russia, the history, the demographics.
Russia is a northern country, has 11 time zone territory with rich resources. In the same time, 44 million people don't have the same opportunity like in the West to have the Bible in their own language everywhere, to have churches on every corner. So we have right now a great opportunity to proclaim the gospel in Russia.
And I understand that Russian Leadership Ministries and the Moscow Theological Seminary has partnered together to equip leaders. Tell me about that.
Russian Leadership Ministries is unique ministry because they are working with nationals, with indigenous ministry of Moscow Theological Seminary to equip, to train, to help, to mentor, to teach Russians how to reach Russians, to build churches, to plant churches, to do the ministry.
And you have several centers that reach outside of Moscow as well, correct?
Oh yes, we have 8 learning or training centers around Russia, from the Far East to the European part.
Well, that's exciting. Stay tuned as we go behind the scenes and get some more interviews so you too can get a fresh revelation of how God is still working today, especially through Russian Leadership Ministries. Stay tuned.
When you read the history of Russia, and particularly when you talk to the Russian people, you discover that it's a history that has known a great deal of suffering and pain. It has always impressed me to see what the Christians have suffered because of their faith in Christ. We've talked to many people whose father, whose grandfather was taken away in the middle of the night and sent to a gulag in Siberia and never heard from again, or a pastor who might have been persecuted because of his faith. It's a story that is endless, and you see that the church really has grown because of the faithfulness of God's people. Well, when you see what communism did to the Russian people, it breaks your heart, because when you live in a country of state-sponsored atheism, where there is no God and where materialism is all that matters, there soon comes the corruption of life and the destruction of morality and faith. The country is a country at risk, and the only hope of Russia is the gospel of Jesus Christ, for Christ is the one who gives meaning and purpose and hope to all of life. And it is therefore vitally important that the Church of Jesus Christ be strengthened so that it can reach this country and to reach the young people particularly who so desperately need help. And that's why the Moscow Seminary is so important, because it is in the training of leaders who are able to preach the gospel, who are able to counsel, able to lead, able to educate, that Russia has a hope for the future.
As we've looked at program development for the seminary, one of the things that had to be taken into account was the extensive impact of communism on the life of the church during the 20th century. It's almost like the growth and opportunities for the church came to a halt for almost 100 years. All of the developments that we are experiencing in our churches, like Sunday schools, women's ministries, children's ministries, those have only begun to happen in the last 15 to 20 years. So the programs at the seminary are specifically designed to target leaders in those areas in order to help them plant and grow those ministries. There are various degree programs in which people enroll in Christian education, pastoral ministry, youth leadership, music and worship, so that they can provide leadership in the churches all across Russia.
All the teachers of Moscow Theological Seminary, they're active members or pastors or deacons in the local churches. So all of them love the Lord and they love the ministry. They're actively involved in the mentorship, in the teaching, not just giving information and knowledge, but being part of the life of the students. And this is one of the candies by being at seminary. To have friends, to have mentors, spiritual fathers who can help you.
The role of Russian Leadership Ministries and our U.S.-based mission is to identify financial partners, individuals, and churches who have a heart for Russia, for the Russian people, and to see the church grow and reach Russia for Christ. And so we have found there are three primary areas in which support can be very strategic. One is to provide scholarships for students. The second is to provide learning resources for students and faculty. And the third would be to help expand the ministry of the seminary by planting additional learning sites across the country.
We believe that Russia stands at a crossroads. It is a nation at risk. It is a country that desperately needs the gospel. And I pray that you will pray that God will provide the means for the Moscow Seminary to be able to expand its ministry and its witness so that many people will find meaning and purpose in life through the gospel of Jesus Christ.
We'd be excited to have people reach us to find out more about Russian Leadership Ministries and the Moscow Theological Seminary. There are two good ways to do that. One is to reach us through our website at www.russianleadership.org, or to call us on our toll-free number, which is 866-599-1229.